Monday Night Raw. Dude.
Roll.
Let's start off with Rhea Bloody Ripley coming out and doing a nice little promo saying that Dom's got a small dick.
True.
Basically,
He doesn't go deep enough.
Doesn't go deep enough. You stab me in the back, but not deep enough. And then Dom and Liv come out, and he goes, "Hey, you want to know the reason I'm with Liv? She gives me tendies whenever I want. She lets me play video games whenever I want. She treats me like a man, and I'm her daddy."
God. He's like, do you know how humiliating it is to be a grown man and call someone mommy?
And she goes, "You liked it. You liked it." She's yelling it from the ring.
Yeah.
And Damien appears behind him.
Oh yeah, that was great. That image. Damien just shows up behind him. They all brawl throughout the arena and concessions and all that good stuff. We get everything back down to the ring. Damian Priest is facing Carlito, and Carlito is very taped up. This guy, not only was he like not really in like his usual ring gear, which I guess he hasn't ever since he's been in Judgment Day. He just kind of wrestles in like in clothes. He was pretty taped up, but you know, Damian Priest takes out Carlito pretty easily.
Yeah.
And then the Judgment Day, attack Damian afterwards. Rhea Ripley kind of comes to make the save. We get a very cool announcement for Bash in Berlin. Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest, the Terror Twins, versus the power couple, Liv Morgan and Dominic, Dirty Dom Dom.
Which we predicted.
We sure did, and we're the only ones to ever predict that.
The only ones ever. I just want to say, I love how much they are, because it's happening on SmackDown and Raw, how much they're going from segment to match, right? Without like entrances. That happened on this episode where they had that whole opening segment. Carlito came out and then it went right into their match. And I fucking love that. It flows really well. And like, you don't get their entrance, but you don't need it.
It saves time.
Yeah, it's a good time saver, and it works. It works really well. I love it.
Definitely.
Xavier Woods.
He's not joining the Final Testament.
He's not joining the Final Testament, but he still is not. He's not vibing, bro. He's not vibing with Odyssey Jones.
I can't say I really blame him. It almost feels like a lot of people feel like they're. I feel like Big E is not a hole you can fill in the New Day. You know, or he will always be a member of the New Day. And I don't think you can add anyone to the New Day because they've been a team since like 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
I love Odyssey Jones. He's very, people love him too. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're trying to drive this narrative that like he's going to drive a wedge between them. And honestly, you break up the New Day, this is a terrible decision. Even if they're not as relevant on TV these days, that is a team that I feel like you do not mess with. You let fizzle out on its own, if at all. Yeah, Big E probably... Well, Big E is definitely not going to wrestle again, it seems. But I don't know. You can have Odyssey Jones. Like, this is definitely a good storyline to get him over in, but, like, I don't know. He doesn't need to be a member of the New Day, in my opinion. And the Final Testament 2 are, like, trying to, like, bug Xavier Woods, too. Like, Karrion Kross was like, he's trying to replace Big E, and he's trying to replace you, which I think is also so goofy, like, for his character to be like, well, looks like you better watch your teammate, pal. I mean, this beef has been going on for how many months now, and it's just like, okay.
I do not vibe with that group. I don't does anyone really like?
I think it's just one of those situations where I don't know if Karrion Kross can be saved here. I really don't. Like he had his high.
And then what do you do with everyone else though? Like
Akam and Razor can be a tag team on their own. They were before. They tend to try and put them with people. Like they put them with Seth when he was doing the whole Messiah thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they need to. Paul Ellering can just go back home, sit on the couch, and Scarlett just follows Karrion Kross wherever. Like this is just a faction to be a faction. It doesn't really do anything for anyone. If I were WWE, and this sounds shitty to say, but like I would just like cut him loose, let him go on the indies. They fired him a while back and then took him back. I don't know why.
We had a really funny segment. I think they did this once before, but we had Raw Physics with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. And they went over the how many pounds of force Big Bronson Reed let loose on Seth. And that shit was funny, bro.
Yeah, and as we found out soon after that happened, they're keeping Seth off TV, it looks like.
Yeah.
Looks like he's got some actual injuries that maybe he came back a little too soon, which I figured as much because he did come back pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So this was their way to take him out of the picture for a little bit, which I think is a good idea. I don't know. They'll have him come back when he's all good, but probably when this Drew CM Punk thing kind of ends, and then CM Punk and Seth will likely have their own separate feud, which will be good.
Their next feud, yeah. Pete Dunne is Angie. He's going all around still. Raw and NXT, and he's an angry boy. How dare you call me Butch? That's his motivation. Still,
I can't blame the guy.
Yeah.
But just, I'm glad they're giving him a mic and having him talk, because he can talk. Him being quiet too is like very normal, but like he's like very convincing when he's talking. But again, still like seems like they're involving him in both Raw and NXT, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice.
So it looks like he's finally gonna go up against Sheamus.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this week or next week. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the next coming episode. They're having a match. So
I have a question. Why did SmackDown have Isla Dawn and Alba Fire getting squashed essentially, but then Raw had them like on top? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know what they're doing.
That match ended in a DQ, yeah? The Raw match? It did.
Raw? Yeah.
Yeah, they had a number one contenders match, Damage Control versus Pure Fusion Collective, which you don't like the name. I think it's a pretty killer name.
I don't know. Maybe it'll grow on me.
It's because they're MMA fighters.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know. I like the faction.
Mixing the style. The faction is fine. I don't know how I feel about the name. I don't know.
Is it the word fusion that gets you?
No, Pure Fusion Collective. You're fusing. You don't need fusion and collective, because you're fusing the styles. Just make it Pure Fusion, or I don't know. I don't have a better name. That's why I don't work for WWE.
Write an angry email to Trips.
Listen here, Trips.
Anyways, they had the Unholy Union. Is that what they're called? Alba and Isla.
Oh, yeah.
They had them at ringside watching. Someone got knocked into them. And then, unfortunately, though it was an accident, they were not going to let that slide. And this was a number one contenders match, too, which that, too, had me like, huh? Like, I thought Jade and Bianca were going to be number one contenders. Like, what's going on? And then they attacked them, ended in a DQ match, and that's that.
I don't know what they're doing.
I think what they'll probably do, they tend to do this a lot with the women's tag belts, but like they will have they'll have like a 4-way tag team match and put the belts on the line. They love doing that with these, and I feel like that's where this is going.
Yeah.
And then what they're probably going to do is like find some way to have Jade and Bianca win while protecting Alba and Isla like they need to.
Right.
Even though they don't need to, because they're not being presented that way. Very, very confusing, pointless match.
It's very weird. Like, we already ranted about those two titles, and I don't know. They don't know what the fuck they're doing with them. I don't think anyone does. It's very strange. We had another golden R-Truth segment this week that I thought was so funny.
Poor guy.
R-Truth is in the back and talking to Miz is down on his luck. He's like, man, fuck. I want the Intercontinental. And, he's like all mad. And R-Truth is like, hey, man, I got you a match. I got you a match against Braun. And he goes... He goes, Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title? He goes, no, that big guy, Bronson Reed. And he's like, R-Truth, that's not Braun Breaker. He doesn't have the Intercontinental title. He goes, oh, ain't that the guy that killed Seth? And he's like, yes. And then Randy Orton comes out in the camera, and he goes, and he's like, guys, what's going on? And he's like, R-Truth just got me a match against Bronson Reed. And he goes, oh, ain't that the guy that killed Seth? He's like, yes. And so Miz has a match against Bronson Reed. Actually holds his own for a little bit there. It was a pretty impressive match. But unfortunately, he goes to do the tsunami to Miz, and R-Truth takes a bullet for him, 6 bullets for him, and gets tsunami'd many, many times. And R-Truth is dead. He's dead.
And people are still going nuts for it.
Yeah, dude, every single time he went up, that crowd went crazy.
I gotta say, this didn't hit as hard as when he did it to Seth.
No, it didn't.
And I hope they're smart with it and don't like beat a dead horse.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I want it to be his thing that he just keeps jumping from the top because someone like him should not be jumping that high. But they should be smart with it.
Give me a tsunami from the fucking turnbuckle to the commentary table. Do you think he could make that jump?
I don't think he could reach.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy. He'd have to practice. Give me Bronson Reed versus Braun Breaker.
Oh, please.
Book it. Yeah. Oh, we had Randy Orton and Gunther.
Oh yeah, Randy Orton and Gunther had a little face off here, and Gunther was like, hey, you're a mistake, like you've made many mistakes in your life, and you're a fuck up and all that stuff. And Randy Orton's like, hey, I may be a fuck up, but at least I fixed my mistakes and all this stuff. And then Drew came out and like stared at them. And then CM Punk jumped over the barricade and started beating the shit out of Drew.
Yeah.
So, how'd you feel about this segment? I thought it was a little wacky.
I didn't really feel any way about it.
I think I'm the same. I was just like, oh, that happened.
Yeah. CM Punk did clear up some stuff a little backstage.
Yeah.
He gained a little respect back for me, where he was like, it's not about the goddamn bracelet. It's about the names on the bracelets.
Yeah.
And he's like, he was pulled a Will Smith. He was like, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Now that it's like out there and he said it, and it's like,
okay, it's good.
Yeah, you're not fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Their segment didn't really hold a lot of weight this week. It was just kind of
I thought one thing that was cool, and they talked about this on Busted Open. I know I reference Busted Open like every week, but I fucking watch them, and
he loves Bully Ray.
I appreciate what they do. Mostly Dave LaGreca, but I don't know. Bully Ray said some good things, and this was actually one of Bully Ray's. So yeah, I guess I like Bully Ray. He fucking one of the things that he pointed out was Gunther did the whole thing with like, oh, you're never going to RKO me, like all this stuff. And then he turns around for, they're staring as Drew's music is playing. They're not cutting away from Drew and Randy, or from Gunther and Randy. They're not cutting away. They're staring at each other. And then the second Gunther turns away, he RKOs him. It cuts backstage to Punk. And Gunther is backstage pissed off.
Oh, he's pissed. Yeah.
And he's like, God damn it. And CM Punk's like, the fuck?
Yeah.
And he like looks over his shoulder. But you could tell like it showed like more emotion from Gunther that you don't usually get, because he was all fucking pissed off backstage, And that was a cool thing that they pointed out that I didn't notice right away.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. I'm excited for Randy and Gunther.
Yeah, I am too.
That'll be a good match. We know what they can do. Do you think they're gonna try to do a CM Punk McIntyre match for Berlin?
I think they'll probably save it for Bad Blood. That's what I think. It makes more sense. I don't know what they're aiming for Bad Blood.
Bad Blood's October, right?
Yeah, or maybe they'll do like a 2 out of 3. Maybe they'll do like.
I could see them doing their second match and then the rubber match kind of be at Bad Blood, and that'll like end things.
Yeah.
Maybe they do some kind of like, I don't know, like an I Quit match or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of 2 out of 3, though,
Yeah, that was a good segue right there, baby. Woo, woo, woo.
we had Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn. 2 out of 3 falls, and we
Do you want to know my one note for this match?
that he launched Sami like a lawn dart.
I wrote Sammy fucking died.
Yeah, that was gnarly. They had us in the first half. Well, I don't even say that. I knew exactly how they were gonna play this out. They're gonna make you think that Sammy had the upper hand, and then Braun Breaker just cooked him.
Absolutely.
What happened? Like
that
Sami
man.
Zayn overall just lowered from like 90 to like 75 in like the span of 2 weeks.
Hey,
Like,
we can't complain. That's what we wanted.
no, I know it's what we wanted. I was just like, I want to know why did we make a mistake in the first place? You know?
Yeah.
I love 2 out of 3 falls matches though. I think
Yeah, I do too.
the last time we had one in wrestling was the Bang Bang Gang versus FTR, and they had that like hour-long fucking on Collision or something like that earlier this year.
It's interesting because like you have the Heritage Cup very frequently on NXT, but it's not like a straight up 2 out of 3 falls. You know, you have the breaks
'cause
in
it's
between.
timed. Yeah.
But yeah, the two I also really enjoy 2 out of 3 falls. I feel like I don't know. You most of the time you know how they're gonna go, but still,
Yeah.
they're entertaining.
Yeah, they definitely sold it. Braun did a good job of selling. Like Sami Zayn, like had the advantage.
Yeah.
But he killed him. Like,
Yeah.
and then I guess after Raw went off the air, they had like a little, they like shook hands or something, showed a little respect, and Sammy.
They didn't even shake hands. They just stared at each other and nodded.
Oh, it was
and
like
that's
an
it.
acknowledgement.
Yeah, it's
kind
like
of
an acknowledgement. Yeah.
Yeah, and Sami Zayn cut one of his Sami Zayn promos, and I hope we see him and Jay involved in that Bloodline story.
Yeah.
That's where I'm hoping he goes with that.
Yeah, I hope so too.